Good day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Once again, you are welcomed by your brother and friend, Professor Emeritus Stephen Adei. We are continuing our leadership series, and our title for all of it is Leadership for Everyone, Everywhere, number 3. You remember the first one, I introduced it. Second, I shared some concepts. Today, I am going to talk about leading yourself. So the subtitle is Leading Oneself. It is said that the first person you lead is yourself. Interestingly, when you manage your life well, others would like to listen to you, to follow you, to imitate you, the same way as happens in the home with children, which I will emphasize when we come to leading at home. But here, leading yourself well. And under this, I'm going to talk about two things. The second one having many subsessions. The first is the overarching direction of your life. And I'm calling it Living by Strategy. It is the title of a book of mine, Living by Strategy. The second part of living and managing your life is how to manage the various spheres of your life, like your spiritual life, your family life, your marital life, your financial life. And that's where we will spend some more time taking one of them at a time. And again, I will be following my book, Managing Yourself. So those of you who are in the market, if you go to Challenge Bookshop, you can follow me by buying two of my books, Living by Strategy and Managing Your Life. What do I mean by living by strategy or managing your life strategically? As a professor of both economics and leadership, one of the things I have profited from is teaching strategy to MBA students. And it is interesting, when people go to university to study business and MBA, they are always being directed at how to manage businesses of their own or other people's, but not themselves. I'm going to do a flip teaching, in the sense that in this case, half a flip of it, we are going to follow the same principles, but not going to apply them to managing a business, but managing your life, the most important enterprise that you have. First of all, if you are going to live by strategy, the first thing is that you have to live intentionally. Most of us follow fads, our cultural orientation, what our models are doing, and there's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of it, you are responsible for how you lead yourself. And that if you don't live with intentionality, you are likely to be pushed about, either by your family, by your culture, by what society expects from you, or people will say in the business, climb the corporate ladder. Many have climbed the corporate ladder, and when they have gone to the top, they see what is lying with them, ahead of them is rubbish. They have ruined marriages, their children have become what they didn't intend. They have money, but their health even will not allow them to enjoy it. That is the more reason why you have to be intentional about how you live, as the first step in living by strategy or managing or leading yourself. Secondly, many people don't realize that they are in a network of relationships, and how they manage their life impacts them. Apart from yourself, if you are a spouse, you are probably the major determinant of the welfare and sense of well-being of the one you are married to. Not to mention your children, not to mention your parents, if you are not as old as me, having lost them all. or your extended family, your workmates. When you manage your life well and live by strategy, all others around you in your relationship benefit from it. Again, it is very simple concept, but we miss it oftentimes when it comes to our own life. The reason why we teach strategic management is that when you look further 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ahead of your life, you live today better towards a clear objective. That is what we talk about in vision, which I'll be coming to very soon. I'm a young man of 77 years old. Don't laugh, because if you laugh, I may come to your funeral. My father died at 115, and I'm now doing my strategic plan for the next 43 years. That is until I reach the age of 120. The likelihood that I will live to 120 is very small, but I want to be living with that in view so that what I do today has long-term impact. And when I'm dead, if I don't reach that, my children, my grandchildren will pick up from there. I'm not asking you to plan your life for 43 years ahead. I'm asking for you to start living by purposely. Minimum, if you are young, 5 years ahead. 10 years is the average, and if you can do 15 to 20 years, even the better. What are the elements in living by strategy? Having taken care of now being conscious of living intentionally and being conscious that whether you like it or not, you are going to impact thousands of people just by being alive and being a normal person. Therefore, these are the steps I want to recommend, which I call the elements in leading or managing your life well. First, you must live purposely. In other words, you must have a mission. Ask yourself, what am I on planet Earth for? If I were to die ahead, what would I like to be remembered for? If you are able to answer this question, then you are likely to live purposely. Many people at the end of their lives wish they had lived differently because they had no mission or what they want to achieve with their life. Out of that, I always advise that you must carve a minimum of 10-year vision. In other words, a clear picture where you are today, where you will be in 10 years' time. It's amazing. For the past 20 plus years, every 10 years, I have a personal strategic plan. And I have achieved consistently all my ambitious plans. And sometimes my wife and children will laugh. What are you going to do? For example, when I was 60 years retiring, I said, hooray! Now I'm no longer going to work for the government or the United Nations and the rest. I'm going to work for myself. And that in 10 years, I want to be a millionaire. I didn't achieve it in 10 years, but it was 11 years. And my being a millionaire is different from how the standard definition. I'm not talking about my houses, car, and that things, and taking my debts from it. No, I mean all that one in addition to cash investment of 1 million, and I achieved it. When you live by purpose, you surprise people. And when my family was laughing, I said, but you know what it takes to be a millionaire? If I have all my packages together and have 250 Ghana cedis, 250,000, and I don't live on that one, within 5 years, it will double to 500,000. And another 5 years, it will become $1 million, assuming only 15% return per annum. But you have to live by intention, because what I could have done, get your retirement benefits, lump sum, insurance, and then immediately go on a spending spree, try building new houses, doing that, a new car, and then soon you are financially strapped. But because I had a 10-year plan, of which I had more other objectives, and one was to become a millionaire, I constrained myself, and it became possible. So you must have a clear vision for a minimum of 10 years. And I always advise that you should have a two-pronged vision. One is vision of accomplishment. That is what people always talk about. In other words, what you want to achieve academically, financially, and the rest. But that is not enough. You can be rich by stealing, and most unfortunate Ghanaian rich people in the public sector and politicians are rich because they are thieves. Their lifestyle and their buildings cannot be explained by their income. So, but in so doing, you get rich, but as a human being, you are nobody. You are a glorified thief. And sad to say, if you don't repent, you are going to hell. For it shall not profit any man or woman to get the whole world and lose their soul. So you must have two visions. One is the vision of what you want to accomplish, and then the vision of what you want to become. You want to be rich and moral, a person of integrity, accountability, and transparency. And always, unlike a business, even business, they have their own ethic and values. You must have your values also as a human being, what you want to be, and what you want to accomplish within that parameter. Once you know your purpose of living, once you have a vision, then you can set goals for the details of your life. I always use the wheel with 8 spokes to encourage people to practically have clear goals, spiritual goals, intellectual goals, physical goals, how to manage their body. Because the body is, as the Bible says, is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And when you are sick, you cannot accomplish any. Then financial goals, marital goals. If you have children, family goals, and you may add extended family to it. You are social goals. You want to talk. So you must then have goals for specific areas of your life. Your intellectual goals. Your mind is the only part of the body which gets better the more you use it. So you must have also intellectual goals. What you want to study, the number of books you like to read in a year. I set myself, apart from preparing my lectures and everything else, I want to read a book a month so that I keep up. These days there's AI. I'm using AI because it's so important. The more experienced you are and know how you want to use AI, the better you are. Your speeches are better. It gives you the language, those of us who are English challenged. And then you provide better content. Let AI supplement by doing the research for you so that it becomes the background. And finally, let me, as a way of illustration, we must have also goals set for our career, work, or professional development. Even at my age of 77, because it is part and parcel of my strategic plan. I have the work I do. I serve on almost 10 private sector boards, no longer serving on any government boards because that you serve on at the pleasure of His Excellency the President and his people. You don't wait for a politician to come and call you to do something. There's too much work to be done. I'm an executive chairman of one of the biggest private schools. In fact, our secondary school students, in terms of number, is the same as combining GIS, SOS, and Tema International School combined. Why? Because I want to impact young people for God, family, and country. Again, I have to manage my own family estate, and on and on. I can only do this when I have a goal and a strategy for each area of my life. So let me recount where we are. First, you must be intentional how you live. Second, you must know that whether you manage yourself well or not, for better, for worse, you are impacting other people because you are in a web of relationships. Apart from yourself, your spouse, your children, your extended family, and all. And therefore, you must apply the same principles in managing a business to yourself. And the first is that you must be purpose-driven. Two things go into purpose-driven living, as I've said. One is to be clear of your mission, your raison d'etre, what you are on planet Earth for. Therefore, I must know, Stephen Adei, that I was created by God in his image to glorify him and to be the instrument of Jesus Christ to impact my generation. Again, you must have a clear vision of what you want to accomplish within 10 years. So, and I said that you must have two-pronged vision. One is what you want to be, your character. Integrity matters. Transparency and accountability matters. You cannot live for yourself alone. The irony of life is the more you live for others, the better you live. That is who you are, the vision of being. And then the vision of accomplishment, what you want to do with your life. Accomplish. And that is where I encourage people to look at the segments of their life. And in the wheel of life, I have 8, and if you are sophisticated, you can add to 10, whatever you want to. But for me, my spiritual life, I have goals for it. A charge to keep I have, God to glorify, never dying soul to save and fit for the sky. To serve the present age is my calling to fulfill, according to the hymn of John Wesley. A charge to keep I have. Again, I must have a goal for my intellectual life so that my mind will continue to develop and catch up. I don't wait for my 10-year-old grandchild to say, Grandpa, do you understand what AI is? No. I must be ahead of him. So we talk AI. So that I can keep abreast. Intellectual development, reading books, studying new things. I've just started learning how to play the drums. And it's fun. When I'm there, and soon I'll be taking over when I go to church, they'll be shocked that this old man goes and sits in front of the drums, the music department, and playing the drums. Why not? What will I do than to learn new things? And the young people are good at helping you to do so. So intellectually, you must be developing. Professionally, your work should change. You never retire. Why do you retire and sit home and atrophy? No. You have to impact others, mentor others. In my case, serving on boards, which I consider serving on a board is helping other people to succeed. You are no longer the chief executive. Those directors out there know that it's not your job to be meddling in the day-to-day management of the organizations in which you are head. You are like, as proverbially, someone is making the part. That's the chief executive and management. You set policy framework and you want to make sure that their path is straight. That is the job of a director. So I can serve on as many directorships. And I'm already doing about 10. If it's 20, because it's not my job to do the work. The chief executive. I become a sounding board, helping them to succeed. So you must have your professional development and keeping up to date. Financially, you plan your savings and investment. Have a target when you are going to be a millionaire. Because if you save only 100 Ghana cedis a month in a vehicle that yields 15% per annum, in 30 years you are a millionaire. If you up it to 500 Ghana cedis, you are a millionaire in 20 years. If you up it to 1,000, you are a millionaire between 16 and 17 years. And for those who can afford 3,211, you become a millionaire in 10 years. But unless you live by strategy, it won't happen. Because the vampires and your own taste you spend by heart. Again, you must have plan for your marriage. When I married, I said that I want my wife to be the happiest woman I know. And for 50 years we married. We never fought one day. It doesn't come by chance. It comes by intentionality. And you got committed to it. And the other areas of your life. But that is not enough. You must have your values of integrity, of courage, able to love people. Love here is not amorous love. I love you. No, we are talking about in all your relationships, you are seeking the best and the welfare of those you have to interact with. And that is, but for me, it's very, very simple, and I'll come back to it. I have only one rule, which ties all that I'm saying together, is this: what would Jesus have me do? I've had it as a rule of life since I came to know Jesus Christ at the age of 17. So in every situation, I don't say, you have made me the CEO. What should I do in order to be a good CEO? I'm married. How do I become a good husband? And other things. Of course, I'll learn the details, but my overarching criteria is in the situation I'm in. If Jesus Christ were in that, what will he have me do? Unfortunately, as a human being, I can't say that I always do that one. But the guidance from this one rule, overarching one, has helped me when I was a teacher, when a university lecturer, vice chancellor or rector, when I was economic advisor to the Commonwealth Secretariat, the United Nations, chief of the UNDP African Bureau, UN ambassador to South Africa and Namibia. No matter what situation, I ask that following Jesus has helped me. I'm not imposing it on my hearers who will come from others, but unless you have an overarching criteria, which I call it, rather Stephen Covey calls it the true north principle, and I call it the organizing principle, then you will find yourself caught in situations which you have not been before. Because what you'll be doing is this: I want to be a man of integrity. What do I do when I'm being tempted? No, to get a bribe. There's no. Why? But Jesus will not like me to give a service to anybody for a bribe. And that is why some of us, when we serve in the public offices, we have trouble with the politicians, unfortunately, often left and right. Because when they give me a responsibility, I have to do the best for the government of the day, who is managing the country and for God. No matter what work you give me, it is decided it will end up doing the best that I can. Have your values, because they make a difference. Then you can go down to break your targets and your goals into small specific targets, what you do every year. For example, I have a notebook. I always compile it. It's electronic, but I like printing it also to be by my bed. Every year, giving my strategic plan, what I will be doing in the year to fulfill it. And thank God, on the average, I've exceeded it. I raised the standard the following year, because the more you live by strategy, the more experienced you become, and the more useful you are to others, as well as in fulfilling your plan. It is a wonderful way. So in managing yourself or leading yourself, the first is living by strategy. And once you catch that, much of life's intakes becomes very much easier. Why? Because you are living by strategy. And in so doing, you won't be living the life of even your good mother, which is mine was excellent, and I have supported by my wife, or even my church. At the end of the day, you have distilled the core way you are going to live your life. And it becomes a ball, because you are able at any time to see how you are progressing and how you are going to manage your life. It is with this that I want to introduce leading yourself. In the subsequent ones, I won't go with this general one. I will be taking specific areas of our life to manage them well to support your strategy. But I will give you an exercise. Professors, that's what we are used to. Define your mission. What are you on earth for? Your clear vision for the next 10 years. In other words, of what the person you want to become and also the things you want to accomplish. Set clear goals for each area of your life. Be clear with your values, and above all, have an overarching direction, which Stephen Covey calls the true north. And for me, it has been a pleasure to live for Christ, and hopefully one of these days to die for him. That is worth living. Almost every Saturday, God being my helper, you will hear me on ZFM 99.7. And also, if you miss that one, go to the YouTube of Professor Emeritus Stephen Adei. And we are going to follow leadership for everyone, everywhere, over the next few weeks. Shalom, and may the Lord be with you.